Time magazine called him the unsung hero behind the internet. CNN called him a father of the internet. President Bill Clinton called him one of the great minds of the information age. He has been voted history's greatest scientist of African descent. He is Philip Emeagwali. He's coming to Trinidad and Tobago to launch the 2008 Kwame Ture lecture series on Sunday, June 8th at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine, 5 p.m. The Emancipation Support Committee invites you to come and hear this inspirational mind address the theme, crossing new frontiers to conquer today's challenges. This lecture is one you cannot afford to miss. Admission is free, so be there on Sunday, June 8th, 5 p.m. at the JFK Auditorium, UWI St. Augustine.
The reason every supercomputer programmer hopeful, except I, Philip Emeagwali, abandoned the massively parallel processing supercomputer hopeful was that naysayers said that the message passing programming of an ensemble of millions upon millions of processors was akin to looking at God in the face. During my quest for the fastest supercomputer, I felt like I was walking alone along a small road with a small lamp. In the 1970s and 80s, it was often said that parallel processing is a huge waste of everybody's time. As a lone wolf supercomputer scientist, my grand challenge was to draw the massively parallel processing supercomputing power that I needed to record the fastest computational speed in the history of the computer. That fastest speed that I recorded at 8:15 in the morning of the 4th of July 1989 in Los Alamos, New Mexico, United States was the reason major newspapers called me the African supercomputer wizard. The wizard in the unknown world of the massively parallel processing supercomputer must command all 65,536 tightly coupled processors. That wizard must control all 1,048,576 bidirectional email pathways that married those processors together as one seamless, cohesive supercomputer that is a new internet de facto. Back in the 1970s and 80s, I was excited because I was the unknown supercomputer wizard. I was excited because I locked all 64 binary thousand commodity processors and locked all 1 binary million commodity email wires. I was excited because I locked the entire parallel processing machine and locked them at all times. The year that I locked my massively parallel processing supercomputer was 1989. The place that I locked my massively parallel processing supercomputer was Los Alamos, New Mexico, United States. Looking back to the National Computer Conference that took place in June 1976 in New York City, a panel of supercomputer experts ridiculed the massively parallel processing supercomputer hopeful and dismissed the technology as large and clumsy and dismissed it as a huge waste of everybody's time. So my research in parallel processing was science fiction to the attendees of that National Computer Conference of 1976. In the 1970s and 80s, I drew my inspiration from half-human cyborgs that I imagined as super-intelligent lizards of a million that will colonize outer space and that are half a million computers and half a million posthumans, and that will make our science fiction their a million non-fiction. I theorized that the technology of massively parallel processing will be at the core of the brain power of the half-human cyborgs of the 4th millennium. I theorized that each half-human cyborg will talk to 1,000,000,000,000 cyborgs and will communicate in real time and will compute together to make our science fiction their non-fiction. You hear about a half-human cyborg, but I had always imagined that by year million, trillions upon trillions of immortal post-human cyborgs could roam our Milky Way galaxy and do so to accomplish what seems impossible to humans. Those post-humans of year million will be half-humans because they could compute and communicate in parallel. The sequential processing, the massively parallel processing supercomputer that is programmable across an ensemble of processors, became faster than any supercomputer after my experimental discovery that occurred on the 4th of July, 1989. The modern supercomputer that occupies the space of a soccer field and costs the budget of a small nation is a completely different beast from the everyday computer. The universe is huge and is 13.82 billion years old. The supercomputer is small when compared to the universe. When modeling the universe, we cannot squeeze the universe into a supercomputer. I'm Philip Emeagwali. I am a supercomputer scientist with the spirit of a mathematician and the soul of a physicist. That is, I encode some laws of physics into some equations of calculus that I, in turn, discretize into equations of algebra that I further converted into an equivalent set of floating point operations of arithmetic. On the 4th of July, 1989, I figured out how to speed up an ensemble of processors that outlined a new internet and how to speed it up by a factor of 65,536 or more. That invention is my contribution to the development of the computer. Thank you.
Insightful and brilliant lecture.